Alright, in the bottom side of the map, playing as Greenfinger, we have Skyro, and Fiven up in the top, playing as the twins.
Yep. So this is the map is pretty similar to the one in Quick Play, but it's not exactly the same. It's basically the version that if everything goes well, will be the next. Well, will replace the one in Quick Play, I guess.
Yeah, I
Which
mean, and that's
is
like
good.
definitely a feature of Test Your Metal is that, you know, as the word, you know, test is in the name, like one of the ideas behind the event originally was to be a map testing event. So we
Yep.
are getting to see some of the potential like upcoming changes to this version of the map.
Yeah, and we see the commanders like they can skip the first village to go capture the lumber mill at low HP, which is probably worth it. Um, but that does mean that the commander has a harder time like doing what Fiven is doing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess you can be aggressive now, and you know it's fairly safe.
The tower is also harder to get air out of because there's a gate, like, yeah, preventing it from going out the fast way, I guess, and like immediately going after that lumber mill.
Oh, I just realized I made a mistake. It is no longer Greenfinger, it is Zawan.
Yes.
They changed their name in Wargroove 2.
And the commanders, even at half HP, are just, they're just doing that. And
Yeah, although we see this knight position come out here, and what was safe for
yeah.
Fiven to do, Skyro not going to have the same option. I think we're going to see Zawan.
Although I think Greenfinger could have went for it and like dropped the spear more aggressively, but he probably wants to defend his village in the center as well, because that knight is also aiming at.
Yeah, and ooh, that's a big juicy knight crit right there.
Yep, Greenfinger's on road, not quite at full HP, and here we have the classic. You build the second knight and you chain it to the first knight.
Yeah, makes
It's a
sense.
very common thing to do.
And we're gonna see
But
these knights not go for the commander, but just pick off a free sword kill. I say free. It's actually gonna eat a bunch of counter attack damage, but there is a golem backing this up. And oh, very interesting play here. Not gonna heal Zawan. They're just gonna
yeah, I
set up a
mean,
sword crit.
yeah, I think that's a decent play. Until that knight gets a crit on that spear, that is.
Yeah, I mean the spear is. Oh, I was gonna say safe. I mean these swords actually could have picked off instead of going for the swords, but that's actually an interesting choice. I don't.
Yeah, I think usually you would go for the spear because it's more valuable to kill a spear than a sword.
Yeah, I
I
guess.
guess.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
Yeah, I think maybe the idea is that the spear and Zawan both want to heal on the same village from the same tile. So if you leave the spear alive, it makes it a little awkward, and you'll probably be able to like finish it off next turn. Maybe.
Okay, well we see that knight that went for the supposedly free kill right there. Got punished for it pretty heavily. And now, ooh, the spear lives. Okay. I was actually thinking that might die, but
Yep. And then that's a sword crit from a mountain. So yeah, swords eventually, like after a few hits, they start hitting knights. Pretty.
okay, well here
Oh,
comes the golem.
giant on commander. It's like that's one way to push them back.
Yeah. It's one of the few units that can go toe to toe with a commander, so.
Yeah. You could even say they're even better since they have more movement.
Yeah. Although they're affected more by terrain, so. And they cost a lot more to heal. I guess it's like the other big downside.
It's true, but also they don't lose you the game, I guess.
Yeah, that's also a very good advantage.
Let's see. But it looks like Fiven with that mage heal is gonna be able to fight off this golem pretty well. And if that golem doesn't do too well against the commander and all this army, it might become tricky for Skyro. I was wondering if we were gonna see water, but no.
I think
Off the
that
golem.
kills the golem, yeah. So
Yeah.
taking a bunch of counter attack damage on the knight, I mean that's not great. Like you have a knight that's quite weak, but bringing your opponent's golem down is a very big win. So
Yeah, it's worth it.
I think this is looking a bit rough for Skyro right now, but
The twins also have groove, and twins groove are really scary. Like this new version of it, they instantly deal 20% damage when they drop it off, and they have a lot of range on that. Although, I guess you could say the one upside is that that the 20% damage is mostly good against like dense army formations, and it's not that much army left for that.
yeah.
So,
There's also some really cool stuff you can do with it. Like I mean, by complete accident, I ended up setting up a groove next to another groove, and both of them were healing each other and keeping each other alive. So there's some very cool, interesting tactics you can do with Twins Groove now that was definitely not available before.
yeah, Fiven is playing it safe right now, so he's not gonna engage too much. He knows he has the lead. Now Skyro's the one who has to make a move.
Someone in chat pointing out that twins are bad if your opponent's army's dead.
Yeah, you can't get value if your opponent's dead.
Yeah.
Terrible play to kill your opponent. Yeah, now Fiven, killed the army, spent a turn like stabilizing and setting up nitrates, and turn after that can grab some economy.
Let me see these swords coming in just to finish off this village. And I don't see Fiven losing as much on the opposite map. Wow, going really deep with those knights there. But I guess there's a lot of units here to cover that knight, so... And actually, Fiven's gonna respect Zawan and
actually,
seed a couple villages.
Skyro has groove, and Greenfinger is pretty scary as well. The tier 2 especially, it's not only you have the vines to block the enemy, and that damage really adds up over multiple turns, and at first when I was seeing the group, I was thinking more like, oh, it's basically like having 1 or 2 witch hacks during the fight, but it's way more than that. Because you target what you want to damage with the groove, so it's more valuable than 1 or 2 witch hacks.
I guess on this map as well, you could also be sneaky and block a lot of your opponent's production. Like if your opponent, if that air trooper moves out of range of that tower, like Zawan could just drop a vine there and drop a vine on 3 sides of the barracks.
Yep. But Fiven, respecting the Greenfinger groove a lot. You see, only fighting on the other side of the map and completely turtling around his barrack.
I guess the plan here is you just like wait for the unit count to get high enough and then you drop Twins Groove.
Hmm.
But I mean, Greenfinger is pretty close to having tier 2 himself, so
You could drop like some flames in a really awkward spot behind the barracks, I think, and then like only one unit can hit them. You get at least 2 turns where it's up, but you probably want to save it uh, for a fight. So yeah, I guess right now it's just hitting what you can and getting the value.
this is a really interesting play here right now, where it's just turning into... Alright, the archer positioning is really good, but...
Yeah, that archer is really gonna help fights against the barrack. Although there's a golem coming, so...
But that chokehold is looking very rough. You know, I almost wonder if it's worth building like a trebuchet or something. I think it just reaches the tile where the commander is on.
I wonder if we're gonna see like some sort of base race, because they kind of both have a path, the opponent's HQ, and they also have groove to push with. So, although Skyro's Greenfinger is looking a little less comfortable with his own push, I guess.
Yeah, that push is definitely a lot slower. The Fiven's army is just formidable up on that top left. It's this gigantic rectangle of units. We're seeing... Okay, so we're slowly seeing all of this stuff get cleared out. And we do have Greenfinger tier 2, so we're gonna see
Ooh,
how this goes. And that does like a decent amount of damage.
yeah. Groove is mostly for damage, but the vines are still there for the next turn. And keep getting a bit of kills. I think the plan is probably to like fight for the barracks, I guess. I mean, even with Greenfinger Groove, it's probably gonna be quite complicated to do that without an archer.
Yeah, because as soon as there's a single choke point, it's really difficult to break through that.
Yeah, and I mean, pushing into barracks in general is usually difficult because you never know when a golem is gonna pop out of there.
Very true. Oh, we see Cooling Flame coming out. So this version of the Twins Groove does both healing and damage.
Oh, mostly using it for healing apparently. Although he still hits like 5 units, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that suicide plus that sword crit is going to allow a whole bunch of units to come breaking through. We're gonna see this wagon go down, I think.
Yeah, so I guess I mean, I've seen like 2 main ways of using the Twins Groove. Like the first is to just like send it in the middle of your opponent's army and like just deal the damage and then not really care about being it alive, but you just like maximize your damage. And the other way is to try to keep it around for a few turns. I think Fiven here is gonna use it and try to keep it around for a few turns at least. I guess the idea is that if it stays around for a few turns, you're gonna have like a few turns to fight around the barracks, and usually you can't really take a barracks in 1 turn anyway. So having it around for longer is probably best.
Yeah, I mean, he just killed like half of Skyro's army, so
Yeah.
I
And
think
that golem
even if
is
he loses
trapped.
his own barracks at this point, he's pretty much won the game. Like, the stronghold is wide open, there's not really much here to defend it.
That golem actually is trapped inside of the roof, so it's gonna take another 20% next turn.
I think he
And
could
that's
maybe
like
get out.
40% damage on the golem without getting countered. That's really good.
I think it's possible for it to get out, but it would have to do no damage if it did. Okay, just going for damage, takes out the air trooper.
Yeah.
I see this little fight here. And okay, just gonna clean up the right. I mean, this makes sense as well. Like, you always go for the obvious moves first, and if you think that you're gonna clear out one side, then you might as well do that first before committing to, like, the much more difficult fight, which you possibly gonna lose you the game. And oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just going for some kills there and wanting to even the score a bit before just being like, yeah, you know what.
You gotta make the score look better before losing, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I guess that is the way it goes sometimes. But well played to Fiven. That was, I think the real point where I kind of felt like Fiven was going to win was when the golem died.
Yeah, and then it completely snowballed after that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a knight before it that died. I think you can recover from that, but like if you lose a golem after losing a knight and you kill, I think it was like one sword for it, and like hits the commander once and gets like a crit counter attack on a knight for 70% of its health, that's like really bad gold value. So I think from that point, Fiven was looking really strong. But yeah, that is the way things go. And well played to Fiven. They take the first game of Pearlescent that we have seen so far. So yeah, we're going to go into the next game.